brown girl in the ring. Tra-la-la-la-la. Come on, show me your motion. She looks like a sugar in a plum.
Everything you know about Boney M's success is wrong. While Rivers of Babylon was climbing to #1 in Britain for 5 straight weeks, the Soviet government was secretly banning the band from performing their biggest hit. Why? Because of a song about a Russian mystic that worried Soviet leaders. But that's just the beginning. The 4 Caribbean performers who sold over 100 million records worldwide, only 2 of them actually sang on those recordings. The male dancer everyone loved, he was performing to someone else's voice. And the woman who fought back, she took the entire music industry to court. And won. This is the untold story of what really happened to Boney M.
Show me your motion. Tra-la-la-la-la. Oh, head, water, run dry.
In 1974, 4 unknown performers from the Caribbean became Europe's biggest hitmakers in just 2 years. But they didn't do it the way you think. It started with German producer Frank Farian, who had a problem. He'd recorded a disco track called Baby Do You Wanna Bump, but he couldn't promote it himself. His day job was singing German folk music, totally different from the disco beat he created. So Farian did something revolutionary. He hired 4 performers to bring his music to life on stage. Liz Mitchell from Jamaica, Marcia Barrett from Jamaica, Maizie Williams from Montserrat, and Bobby Farrell from Aruba. By 1976, they weren't just famous, they were unstoppable. Daddy Cool hit #1 across Europe. Ma Baker told the story of a gun-toting mama that had everyone singing along. And then came Rivers of Babylon. Here's something most people don't know. When Liz Mitchell recorded Mary's Boy Child, she sang it over 50 times in a single session. What started as a last-minute decision became one of Britain's best-selling singles ever, staying at #1 for 4 weeks straight. But while the hits were piling up, cracks were already showing behind the scenes. The truth about Boney M's sound was more complicated than anyone knew. Frank Farian didn't just produce their music, he was their music. While Liz Mitchell and Marcia Barrett provided the female vocals you heard on the records, Farian sang all the male parts himself. Bobby Farrell, the charismatic dancer everyone loved watching, was performing to Farian's voice during live shows. This wasn't kept secret by accident. Farian had tried to get Farrell to sing, but when Bobby attempted No Woman No Cry in the studio, it just didn't work. His voice didn't fit the disco sound Farian was creating, so they developed a system. Farian would work with Mitchell and Barrett in the studio first, then teach the others the choreography later. Farrell and Williams brought the visual magic that made the music come alive. In 1978, Farian openly admitted this in a German magazine interview. Unlike other music scandals that came later, the Boney M revelation barely caused a ripple. Disco fans didn't care who was singing. They just wanted to dance. But Bobby Farrell cared. His frustration would soon collide with an unexpected event that changed everything. In 1978, something unprecedented happened. The Soviet government gave Boney M rare permission to perform in Moscow, something almost no Western groups had achieved. This wasn't just any invitation. The Soviet Politburo gave them this rare opportunity. For a disco group from Germany, this was like getting a personal call from the president. But there was one condition. They couldn't perform Rasputin. The song told the story of the mystical healer who influenced Russia's royal family, with lyrics calling him Russia's greatest love machine and describing his influence over the Russian queen. Soviet officials said it was too risky politically. So instead of their biggest hit, Boney M had performed Sunny and their other songs. The irony? Rasputin would have been perfect for Russian audiences. It was essentially a history lesson set to a disco beat. This Soviet tour should have been their greatest triumph. Instead, it highlighted the growing tensions within the group. Bobby Farrell was frustrated about his limited role. The women were tired of being voices behind someone else's vision. And Frank Farian? He was losing interest in the project he'd created. What happened next caught everyone off guard. By 1981, Boney M was at a crossroads. Their album, Boney M, faced unexpected delays, and rumors spread about creative disagreements between Farian and the band members. The breaking point came when Bobby Farrell walked away. According to Maizie Williams, Bobby left because of issues with loyalty to the record company and producer. He felt excluded from the creative process and frustrated by his role as just a performer, not a singer. Here's what wasn't made public. Struggling with money troubles, Bobby signed away his rights to earn from Boney M's future success in exchange for 100,000 German marks up front. It was a decision that would haunt him for years. When Bobby left, the group collapsed, Williams revealed years later. Not a little. The group did collapse. They tried to continue with a replacement, but it didn't work. The magic that made Boney M special wasn't just the music. It was a specific chemistry between these four performers. Bobby eventually returned in 1984, but the damage was done. The group that had once dominated European charts was now struggling to recapture their earlier success. By 1986, after the failure of their single Young, Free, and Single, Frank Farian had lost interest completely. The original Boney M was finished. What happened next caught everyone off guard. In 1987, Bobby Farrell convinced Liz Mitchell and Maizie Williams to try a reunion tour with a new singer replacing Marcia Barrett. But at the last minute, both Bobby and the replacement singer failed to show up, leaving Mitchell scrambling to find new performers. Selena Duncan and Kurt D. Darren. Everyone kind of had their own issue, whatever it was, Maizie Williams explained. We grew apart, unfortunately. A year later, they tried again. The original lineup reunited for a remix album called Greatest Hits of All Times, Remix 88. It hit #1 in France, proving that fans still love their music. But the reunion lasted less than a year before tensions erupted again. Meanwhile, Marcia Barrett was facing her own battle. In 1992, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Unable to perform, she moved to Florida to focus on her health. For years later, breast cancer struck again, requiring immediate treatment. Marcia had a really hard time with cancer, Williams said. She was fighting it for quite a while. The women who had once shared stages across Europe were now scattered across different continents, fighting their own battles. Maizie Williams wasn't done fighting. In 2009, she took Frank Farian and Sony to court in Germany. Her argument was simple but powerful. Even though she hadn't sung on the studio recordings, she had been an essential part of Boney M's performances and deserved compensation for the ongoing sales of their music. The German court agreed. They ordered Farian and the record companies to pay her full compensation, acknowledging her contribution to the band's success. I wasn't allowed to sing on the records, but I was the one bringing the music to life on stage, she explained. It was justice after waiting for decades. Williams also found success with her solo work, releasing Call Upon Jesus in 2006 and achieving chart success with her Daddy Cool remix, which hit #1 in Latvia in 2007. Meanwhile, Marcia Barrett was quietly winning her fight for life. She survived both cancer diagnoses and found peace in Berlin, Germany, with her husband Marcus James. She was last seen publicly at the International Film Festival of India in 2006. She occasionally releases solo material and supports peace charities through projects like her EP, No War, Peace and Love for War Child Charity. The friendship that endured through all the chaos was between Maizie Williams and Bobby Farrell. Despite everything that had happened with the band, they stayed close. Bobby and I were always in touch, Williams said. From the day the group started to the day Bobby died, we were close. When Bobby Farrell died of heart failure in a Russian hotel room on December 30th, 2010, it brought all the surviving members together for the last time. His funeral was the only occasion where Liz Mitchell, Marcia Barrett, and Maizie Williams were in the same room again. Of all the original members, Liz Mitchell became the most successful after Boney M's breakup. She never stopped performing. starting with her 1988 solo album, No One Will Force You, which included Mandela, a reworked version of Boney M. Hit Yell Loop, Mitchell built a sustained solo career. Her 1999 album, Share the World, showed her range beyond disco. In 2004, she recorded Liz Mitchell Sings the Hits of Boney M. with the Czech Symphony Orchestra, bringing classical arrangements to the songs that had made her famous. But Mitchell's work went beyond music. In 1989, she established the Let It Be Foundation, an ABAC school to support education and opportunities for Afro-Caribbean youth. This charitable work became just as important to her as her music career. Mitchell's biggest recognition came in 2024, when she received an MBE from the Prince of Wales for her contributions to music and charity. Even at 73, Mitchell continues touring as Boney M. feat. Liz Mitchell. She performed across America in 2023 and completed what she called a farewell tour of Australia in 2024. Her resilience was tested in July 2023 when she crashed a Mercedes into a ditch in Cambridgeshire while visiting her brother. She broke her arm but made a full recovery, joking later that nothing could keep her off the stage. Mitchell's success was just part of a bigger story that's still unfolding today. Boney M's influence reaches far beyond the disco era. Their formula, combining Caribbean performers with European production and global folk melodies, helped shape how pop stars perform today. Bobby Farrell continued performing until the end, releasing solo projects like Tribute to Josephine Baker in 1991 and A Rubin Style in 2004, his Bobby Farrell's Boney M. Tours kept the original energy alive for fans across Europe. In 2021, Rasputin found new life when a remix with Majestic hit number 11 on the UK charts. TikTok users discovered the infectious R. Rasputin hook, proving that great disco never really dies. The covers of their songs tell the story of their lasting impact. Rivers of Babylon has been recorded by dozens of artists, including Tropicana's 2001 version. Sunny, their version of the Bobby M classic, continues to be remixed and sampled. Brown Girl in the Ring, based on a traditional Caribbean children's song, has been covered 21 times by different artists. Today, Liz Mitchell and Maizie Williams both tour with their own versions of Boney M, keeping the music alive for new generations. Marcia Barrett lives quietly but peacefully in Berlin with her husband, Marcus James. Bobby Farrell's legacy lives on to the countless performers who learned that charisma and joy can be just as important as vocal ability. Looking back, their story shows how four people from small Caribbean islands created a sound that conquered the world, survived industry challenges, personal struggles, and legal battles, and never stopped believing in the power of their music. Which member's journey inspired you most? Did you have a favorite Boney M song growing up? Share your memories in the comments below. From unknown Caribbean performers to eternal disco legends, Boney M showed that great music can come from anywhere. Their music lives on, their individual stories continue, and somewhere, someone is discovering Rivers of Babylon for the first time and feeling that same joy that captivated the world nearly 50 years ago. For more untold stories behind music's greatest mysteries, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. You won't want to miss what we uncover next.